Here live in the studio here, the group Blue Magic, they're here tonight. Wendell Sawyer is here, Robert Williams is here, Keith Beaton is here, and calling in tonight will be Fernando Mo Key. So it's let's start over here with Wendell Sawyer.
Yes.
It's been a 45-year, I understand, career history here of the group of Blue Magic. And when I was a kid, you know, I used to listen to all your great hits on WABC and all the great radio stations in Philly and WFIL and Chicago and other great stations. What have you derived most pleasure about being in the music industry for so many years? And of course, you keep going that you have some new music coming out as well. But what's some of those great tips you could give everybody about how you've sustained the whole group and yourself for all these great years? How's that?
Well, I could say destiny, basically. To me, I believe we were born to do what we're doing because we had nothing special from a lot of groups that were in our neighborhood, but it seemed like this is what we're supposed to be doing, and that's what we have been doing. And it's been a pleasure just doing the stuff that we love to do, and that's to entertain the audience and have people look at us and go through their, take them back in time and stuff like that.
Take this time, if you could. How did you meet all these great performers that are sitting here in this room tonight? Maybe you could introduce them and tell us how you all got together.
Okay, well, I'm an original member. Keith Beaton, he's an original member. Him and I, we grew up together. We went to the same elementary school. I met him when I was like 8 years old. And from there, we just started singing together. And then we created the group Blue Magic. My friend here, Robert, he came in not too long ago to fulfill the spot of lead singer. And he did a wonderful job. And Fernando Key, he came in about, how many years ago, Key?
About 10 years ago.
About 10, yeah. And he's been with us for a while. Yeah.
And of course, you have some of the greatest hits that I used to listen to, like the Sideshow and some of those other great hits. As you look back in time, what are some of the great memories that Wendell or Keith that you could describe for our audience out there about some of the great people that you've met in this industry? Some great memories.
Oh, man.
Go ahead, Keith.
Keith?
Okay.
This is Keith. It goes back to such a blessing to work with Gladys Knight and the Pips and Temptations, Stevie Wonder. We couldn't believe it. We just, from North Philadelphia, 5 guys put together, to make this Blue Magic genre go all the way. And we couldn't believe that we was on the stage with Earth, Wind and Fire, the Osley Brothers. We was touring. This is our first year. Our first show was with War. And this is when War was really hot, We couldn't believe it. And, we just look at it like this is a blessing. And you can't take anything for granted, and all these years that we've been together for 45 years, that, we're blessed,
And of course, as Wendell, you were saying earlier, you traveled around the world. You've met some of the greatest artists in this industry.
Oh, yeah. Michael Jackson. I'll never forget when we performed with them at Radio City Music Hall. And for some reason, they came with a Vegas show. And the newspaper the next day wrote that Blue Magic took the show from the Jackson 5. Now, that was an honor to somebody to even think that. But me and Michael, he was a nice person. We played basketball with Jackie and Marlon and Tito. The next day we had a basketball game. And the first tour that we went on was with Ike and Tina Turner in Europe, in Germany. And we had a great experience with that because I don't think Ike knew what kind of group we were.
It has some great music to it, though.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
we had him on the show.
Yeah, we did have him on the show.
Johnny Rivers.
Johnny Rivers.
Oh, yeah?
Wow. He was here. Great.
But you've got a chance to travel and perform with the greatest people in this industry.
Yeah. Well, even some of the comedians, like I heard Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was one that we did a show with him. Sammy Davis Jr., we worked with him. Let's see, who else was it that was wait a minute. Look, it was so many. But we had a good run.
Yes.
And we met some of the greatest people in the business. And that was a pleasure because most of them were our idols that we grew up on, like the Temptations.
Who are some of the other people that you grew up with that you really admired and really helped sustain your career over these great years?
Well, I can say Billy Eckstein. I couldn't believe that we was working with him, you know, and the great Sam Cooke, you know.
One of the best.
One of the best, man. One of the nicest people that you can meet in the industry, and they would look at us and say, you know, just keep up what you're doing. Because we would ask them, you know, how do you guys sustain longevity? And they explained to us, you know, just being together, stick together and believe in your craft.
And I'd like to talk to Robert Williams for a moment. You joined the group in about what year did you come aboard?
It was 2014.
In 2014. So how did you first meet these great gentlemen sitting on each side of you?
Well, I was actually opening up for them and other acts with my gospel music.
Cool.
And so a friend of ours, comedian and promoter Willie Asbury, formally introduced them to me. And I auditioned, sent them an audition tape for YouTube, and Keith just said, "Do your homework." So that's all he said. He said, "Do your homework." So by the time they were ready for me, I was kind of ready for them to. The rest is history.
What would you like to see the radio industry do in terms of your music, or how could us, meaning DJs like ourselves, improve the quality of this industry? What we can do to help you,
Well,
to keep
basically,
going.
just what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can play the music, because a lot of the major stations are not on the classic soul music anymore. The music they play today, and it's okay, but I mean, the music we did is still alive. It's still played today. And we're talking, like you said, some 40 years. Some of the music they play today, you won't hear in the next 5 years, maybe. And we have been performing over these years, singing the same songs. And it's a great feeling to have people like you to assist us in keeping this music alive.
Well, that's what I like to do here, is to keep the music alive and keep the energy going, because I think it's really important that people like yourselves, are part of the world of music, and just keep it market to market going, because as you said, you don't hear that as much as you once did.
No,
and once when I grew
exactly.
up listening to
Yeah,
you
I
on the
mean,
radio.
It was the greatest. Well, it was real music. Okay, let's be factual. It was real music. There wasn't one guy with a computer putting all the sounds on a song, and that's what they're doing today. Back then, it was
This is
called
the hard way, the real way.
Hey, the real way. It was the best way to see a drummer come in and start beating on the drums, and the bass player come in and say, "I got that," and then the guitar player say, "Oh, I can get that." You got 4 guys in there putting their style from what's inside of them into the music. Then you got 30 string players, 40 horn players on one song.
A production.
So that's why you say soul music. Yeah, those were souls going into the music. Now you got one soul going into the music, so the people are not getting the reality of what music really is today, like we gave it to them then. Plus, there was a message in our music, and that message was love, harmony, peace, get together. Today it's going a little negative for some reason. I don't know exactly why, but the trend has changed, and it's not as wholesome to me as it was back then, where I didn't have to talk to my woman. I could just put a record on and it would talk for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't put that record on they play today and let it talk for me. We'd be in there fighting and stuff.
How about your relationship like with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes?
Love him. We was there when Teddy joined.
Yes.
You were?
Yeah. We used to hang together, all of us, Philadelphia. So Teddy, we knew Teddy before, when he was the drummer for Harold. And then he became the lead singer. And we know all the stories, because being in the business, we know, like with his accident and stuff like that, we know the whole story. But Harold Melvin, love you.
Especially with that Russell Tompkins Jr.
Oh, we grew up with
right
him?
here in the studio.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Russell,
I grew up. This is Keith.
Yeah.
I grew up with Russell, and he used to come by my house, and this is before Blue Magic wasn't even created then. And then he would just go in the bathroom in my house, and with the echo, and he was singing. I said, "Man, Russell, this is something. You got a great voice." He was with the Monarchs first, and him and Wendell and Vernon Sawyer, they went to school together. But with Blue Magic, when we finally started getting in there, we had great producers. You know, we had Norman Harris and writers, Bobby Eli and Vinnie Barrett, right? Wendell, it's a whole big name of it. And like Wendell was saying, it was a big production. It just wasn't just going in there and you're going to cut a record. It was like, you know, the horn players, string players, oboes, cellos, everything.
And here you are
know?
today, 45 years later, making new sounds, new music to be released. I believe, as
Exactly.
Robert was telling me earlier before the broadcast, you have new
Yes.
music you're going to share with us, hopefully on another show in the near future.
I hope so.
Okay.
What would you like to say about that, Wendell?
Well, the thing is, there's a lot of classic soul artists. I can name a few, like Howlin' Blue Notes, Manhattan's, Rake 'Em in the Ground, which were the Moments, Delphonics, Soul Generation, Black Ivory. We all have CDs. But the thing is, where do you get them played at? See, the major stations don't play us anymore. Like, back in the day, it was really good. They had a thing back then they called Make It or Break It, okay? They let the audience decide on the success of the song in the group. Today, it's about money. You have to pay for spots to have your music played. And basically, we don't have that kind of money they're looking for, because I heard Jay-Z paid $250,000 to have his songs played on the radio in this country, you know. So today it's just business now. It's not like it used to be. It's not as real as it was before.
We call it out now the business of radio instead of
Yeah,
back in the 60s and
right.
70s.
Yeah, well, see, it's like having Coca-Cola.
Right.
You know, Coca-Cola, you want to advertise on the radio, you pay for the spot. That's the same way it is today with artists. If you got the money, you can get your record played. If you don't have the money, you can't get your record played. That's why it's usually about 8 to 9 people, groups or whatever, that you hear on the radio constantly, you know?
Do you recall some really great radio or television shows in your 45 years, like in Philly or some Detroit or Chicago, or any other places that you could say today, Keith, Wendell, Robert, or those particular people that really, really supported you or played that music? Could you name one or two of them? One of those shows?
Yeah,
Or
Midnight
stations?
Special, Don Rock concert, what was it?
Don Kirshner.
Don Kirshner, right.
Right.
The Merv Griffin Show, we was